Yeah, Summer Soccer Silly Season Week or Episode 6 here, and we are we got a lot to talk about. And it's all going to be on one thing only. U.S. Men's National Team. We come off of I'll let these guys describe it, but a 2-1 win in the Gold Cup semifinal here in St. Louis over a game live and very loud Guatemala. At least I'm talking about the fan base. They showed up and showed out, but we got the win. No intro questions. Let's just jump right into it. Tyler, why don't you take it off the top? What are your thoughts on this game?
My thoughts are that Diego Luna is the left winger for the U.S. men's national team until
Yeah, he agrees. Agreed.
Nala agrees emphatically. No, he is the starting left winger until further notice, until Christian Pulisic earns his spot back as a substitute. Number one. Number two, that group on the field displayed their youth and displayed their inexperience in a big way. Really good learning experience for all of them. Obviously, with the exception of somebody like Tim Ream, but yeah, I mean, like we really struggled to kill that game off when we needed to in the first half when we actually had some control of the game, and B, dealing with St. Louis that acted as Guatemala City for a night.
Oh
So
man.
I like the atmosphere was incredible, and I'm glad that those guys got that opportunity. But I also think that there's clearly some guys who just like from a technical standpoint, passing to the right foot, passing into the right space. Patrick Ajiman, not naming names, like they're not of the quality that's required at this level because those types of chances, like the Ajiman ball that he misplays to Diego Luna, like how many opportunities are you going to get to feed Diego Luna in for what should be a 1v1? Like one, two if you're lucky. And you blew it and you didn't even give him a chance. So like moments like that, Alex Friedman I don't think was great. Arvston wasn't great, but did enough, got over the line, and this has 2021 vibes written all over it, where you just sort of limp across the finish line in every single game, and you hope that you can take your chances in a final.
One thing I'll add, Ajimang also had a 1v1 himself that he did not take
Yeah,
take advantage of.
yeah.
Tommy, any big picture thoughts coming out of that 2-1 win?
Uh, Very similar to Tyler. My main three takeaways after the first 20 minutes, which I thought were really good, um, was the lack of like finishing quality to make that 3-0 and just put the nail in the coffin. And it's a classic like, oh, 2-0 is a dangerous lead or the most dangerous lead. You let a team hang around thing. And then as the second half went on, I think that was basically a CONCACAF away match. With the field actually not being great, uh, the intensity of the opponent, and then the crowd as well. So I think some of the things, like some of the nuances you learn, like slow the game down, and it's like everyone knows it, but to actually experience it is another thing with emotion and in a moment like that. So I think a lot of those guys learn those lessons, and it's very easy for us to talk about, but when you're in that moment, it's a lot harder to deal with. So I think, like Tyler said, a lot of them learned lessons about that, and I think it's a good way to learn when you're winning as well. But I thought Tim Ream was class at the end of the game. Same with Malik Tillman, even though he got tired at the end, he came up with some big plays that relieved some pressure at the very, very end. But yeah, I thought Tim Ream held that together for the last 20 to 30 minutes with plays, and I'm sure he held it longer than that with managing space, communicating. And one small thing I liked at the end was when you see Pochettino on the sidelines, he is actually telling them to push up as they're protecting the lead. And I think most managers would feel comfortable with the team kind of just like engaging at the top of their side of the center circle, but no, he wanted to squeeze space, push up, and keep them away from our goal, which is something under pressure that I actually like seeing.
Yeah, I mean, we needed somebody to do that at the end of that game. We were just, I don't know if it was the last 20 minutes or 30 minutes. We just felt like we were under pressure big time. It was like a totally different situation from the first half where we should have had 3 goals, maybe 4 at halftime, but we didn't. And so then you got to deal with what we dealt with. So I was there. The Guatemalan crowd was I knew that like there was gonna be a lot of Guatemala fans there. I was not prepared for it to be like 80-85% Guatemala fans. I really thought there was gonna be a lot more US fans there, and I was disappointed by that. I guess it just means we got a long ways to go for American soccer, as we've known many times or seen many times. They were into it, and it really like they were just dying for something to go their way, and they had nothing to cheer for in the first half. Like there was the first say 2 minutes where they actually put us under pressure, and the Si se puede chants were loud, and then we scored once from Luna, scored twice from Luna, and there was like no more Si se puede for at least till the second half. And then they were just dying for something to cheer for. They got it a little bit when they just had more ball possession and all that. Then they scored. When they scored, holy shit. Like I'm actually shocked that there was not another goal one way or the other. And most likely it would have been against us. That place was loud, and those fans were into it. So I was impressed, by the way, with the Guatemalan fans. Shout out to some of the guys I took pictures with. Didn't have my camera on me at the time, but they gave me this. Shout out to my guys. Yeah. Any individual? So you've already called out some of the individual performances, but like let's talk a little bit more. Tyler, anybody stand out from the game? Diego Luna, you want to start there?
I mean,
I guess you already did.
No, I can continue on. He would only look better if we had a full complement up top and guys who can actually play. And Tommy and I just had this conversation again. I brought this up last week. There needs to be some sort of experiment with Malik Tillman as a false nine, and then somebody else underneath. There has to be, because at this point in time, Ajimang's hold-up play is not good enough. Brian White clearly isn't up to snuff for Mauricio Pochettino to get some burn right now. He is in the doghouse for whatever reason. And even Flo Balogun and Ricardo Pepi is there. I mean, like, Pepe's probably is good enough, but like, we're not a team to play through a number 9, and not for nothing. And I was having this conversation with Adrian Heath today, who obviously has played and coached at a very high level. Like, that's just not the way the game is played anymore. Those quick combinations happen earlier in the field and sooner in the game. And like, if Tillman is dropping underneath and acting as an extra midfielder, like, why isn't it enough to be able to have either Pulisic, Luna, Weah, whoever it's going to be, running in behind and making those late runs and stretching the back line? So like, Tillman's been good enough to be able to do that. I think he's tactically good enough to be able to do that. I know that this isn't exactly what you asked, but Tommy and I were having a good conversation before we jumped on. Tim Ream was great. Chris Richards was good, solid. 2 fullbacks ain't it. I'm sorry, but they're not World Cup roster players. And I think that has been made clear over the course of this tournament. And they're just lucky that that John Tolkien isn't good enough. And I thought when he came in, he looked shaky. Even his clearances were poor. I didn't like some of his half-hearted clearances in that big moment. I thought Sebastian was good. I thought defensively he did just enough, but he was sort of part of the problem in terms of trying to get a foot on the ball and try to relieve some pressure and things like that. Not many individual dazzling performances, just a collective grit that got us over the line. And hats off to Guatemala, who I told all of you is a very, very, very good and well-coached team. And they proved it. Like, you say that they didn't have anything to cheer for after the 2 goals from Diego Luna, but they were clearly the better team than us. They outshot us 12-1 in the final half hour of the first half, which is insane.
That's interesting. So I was at the game, so I wasn't like
the broadcast did a very specific breakdown of the first quarter.
Yeah.
The first quarter of the first half, and then the last 30 minutes of the first half, and they dominated.
And the reason I say that's interesting is I'm surprised by that, because like maybe they had a bunch of shots, they really didn't trouble us. There was maybe 1 or 2 that were looks. There was like the offsides goal that was like clearly offsides, but I guess I would not have guessed that. I would not have guessed it from being at the stadium. So that's interesting. Okay. Tommy, any individual call outs you want to make?
I thought Berhalter made a couple key plays with just his work ethic, getting in the right positions behind the ball defensively. I think it's interesting that Adams and De La Torre, two of the more experienced guys in the last two games, have been quiet. And I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing. Typically, I prefer like a number 6 when you're controlling a game to kind of go under the radar because that means you're not forced into a lot of desperate plays, which I don't think Tyler was. But I think there were a couple moments in the second half where I think he could have relieved pressure and kind of taken the game over with the ball. He did it on one occasion really nicely, and then Luka ends up like checking away from the ball as Diego plays him. But I thought that was an interesting one to follow. And I think Richards lost his aggression after the yellow card. And I think that hurt us in being able to kind of flip the field because he in that pairing for me would be the person to be able to step up and win the ball a bit more. But I think like a lot of the effort from those guys was really good. It was just sometimes a little bit chaotic, and I think that was because Guatemala did well.
Yeah. Shout out Andrew in the chat for giving Tommy a shout on his sunglasses, which if you're not on the Discord, you need to get on the Discord so you can then get on the chat and see Tommy wearing these shades, which this is the fashionista. The
blue
Tommy,
light blockers. It's blue light blockers. I'm an old man.
Oh yeah. You got a ways to go, a couple decades. I feel like, being at the game and sort of watching on TV get totally different experiences. Kind of, the guys I were not impressed with. I thought Freeman was really kind of shaky and hanging. He was really hanging on. It felt like near the last, say, 20 minutes. It felt like he was either tired or just felt like just nervous. De La Torre has had better games. When you say like Adams and De La Torre were both quiet, like you expect De La Torre, somebody who's you hope to bring something to the table going forward. You might see him a little bit more. I didn't see much from him. Adams had that one giveaway that was a very bad one in our, say, last third, which is very uncharacteristic of him. I was surprised by that. Fernando talking shit about my setup here. I'm in St. Louis. I'm on the road here, Fernando. Give me a little break here. I thought Ream was good. I feel like I do nothing but talk shit about Tim Ream, and that's probably true. I got to give him some shout. I got to give him some credit. I thought he played well. Him and Richards were good. You're right about Richards kind of losing his edge after the yellow card. What else? Arston, I was not particularly impressed with. Like he started out kind of hot, but
Ream has seen that game so many times before. There was a reason why he looked like the calmest guy on the field. It's because he's not gonna get surprised by that. Like that's just the game for him. So,
and he made some key plays. There's one transition moment where he snuffed that out by stepping in, chased one into the corner really nicely. Obviously, I think his passing is quite good, and it helps with having a left-footed player. But he made a couple like key interventions at the end of that game that maybe go under the radar because he just read them so early that he just took the danger away right away. But yeah, he continues to impress me. The more minutes he plays in the back half of 30, I'm like, this guy, he's like our version of Thiago Silva. Like he just keeps getting better with age. He doesn't need to make any sort of drastic plays to be a top class defender in CONCACAF. And so, yeah, I like him a lot. And I don't see a world right now where he's not on that World Cup roster for a variety of reasons.
Not only not on the World Cup roster, but he's probably starting at this point in time.
Right. Yeah. That's the question. I think we all agree he's going to be on the roster.
It's not a question. Right now, it is not a question as to whether or not he's starting.
Agreed. I do think it's a question whether he starts.
No.
That's right now, you're probably right. I hope we make it a question. I hope somebody makes it a question.
What would change in between now and June next year?
like I don't have the full idea of like who our center back list is right now, but he's one of the first names that comes to my mind.
Realistically, it's Tim Ream, Miles Robinson.
Miles Robinson is a name that has to be in the mix, right? Don't you think?
Yeah, of course. It's Ream, Robinson, Richards, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Austin Trusty, Walker Zimmerman. Those are the only 6 realistic starters for the World Cup.
And I think Richards and Ream work really well together. Like they are a very good pairing, I think.
Yep.
And so I think it's those two.
They have competitive games in a tournament setting underneath their belt, which like who knew that that's an important fucking thing to have, you know?
It's like I love the way people describe like the center back partnership as one position, and you try to have them complement each other as much as possible, especially in a back four. And I think they really do that. So I'm.
Also, we need to talk about Matt Freese because that was unconvincing, to say the least.
He made the one save that
I don't even know if that was going in. I don't even know if that was going in.
Yeah,
well, I think it was hitting the post. I think
it was hitting the post.
Okay, and he saved one that was going wide as well. I saw from close to my end, but like I don't know, like unconvincing at the same time. He came off of he won us that game against Costa Rica.
Yeah, but you have to follow up that performance with assuredness, catching balls, coming off your line when you need to, clearing your lines when you need to. Like I didn't see that on a consistent basis from him over the 90.
Yeah, I thought a tough game.
He did win us the game, but what that should do for a really good goalkeeper winning that game is giving you confidence to do the little things right, which I don't think he did, especially in the beginning of the game.
Okay. So does that mean that you still think Turner's GK won?
No. No, because because Freese could have a worldie in the final on Sunday, and
yeah. And like fair. there's still like 12 months before the next World Cup, and people have to play. So there's a lot. 12 months is an eternity in soccer. So
it's true. Well, we only have 4 days until Sunday. We're gonna play Mexico or Honduras. Has the game kicked off?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't know at this point who we're going to play. Did you call any games of Honduras in the tournament, Tyler?
Yes.
How are they?
Average at best.
Let's come on. Don't even entertain Honduras, right? We want Mexico.
Oh no, I want Mexico.
Yeah,
no doubt, 100%. I want.
Question. I was just saying
3,000. I was just give it a little. Listen, he's done all the research. I figured we'd get a little better report if we need.
No,
I 5,000% want to play Mexico. Like no doubt about it. No, that's who I want to play, and I want to be. I wanted to play Canada this game, and then I wanted to play Mexico. But whatever. Hopefully,
Honduras could have been. Like a proper threat if they played like Guatemala in terms of like the collectiveness, but they don't. Like they have better players than Guatemala, but they don't play in the same way, in the same togetherness that Guatemala does. So, I mean, they've got guys like Davy Flores running the middle of the field, Romel Kyoto, who's a perennial goal scorer at the Major League Soccer level. They've got good players. There's no doubt about that. But Joseph Rosales of Minnesota United. It's too individual at times, but yeah, this should be Mexico, and it probably will be.
Let's get to some of the comments in the chat. So Rickert said Malik is a baller. Need to see him used more. I think everybody will completely agree with you there. The issue is that just like with Luna, right? You put him on a field with, sort of better pieces around him. He's probably going to be even better. He can only do so much. I thought he played really well. I just thought he played well. I thought he's been pretty great pretty much this entire tournament.
Again, I tweeted it in the middle of the game. I think that Malik Tillman is your 10 and Diego Luna is your left winger until further notice. And I was talking about this with Tommy. Come September for these friendlies against South Korea and Japan, Christian should be frozen out of the starting 11. I'm serious. You can't listen. You cannot try to dictate what games you do and don't play in the final tournament before the World Cup on home soil, and then basically say, nope, if I can't just simply play in the European friendlies, I'm not showing up to camp. Like, you can't do that and get away with it. You have to earn your spot back. Diego Luna is seizing the opportunity that's in front of him. Why should in what world? Okay, let's pretend that this was a U17 or U18 team and some dude skipped a major showcase to go to prom instead of play. Okay? You think that dude is starting in the next showcase? No, he's earning his way back on. Why should Christian Pulisic be held to a different standard when we're talking about the US men's national team less than a year out from the World Cup? He should have to earn his spot back. He should, at the bare minimum, eat shit for 2 games and be brought on as a super sub and just be let it be known. You come to camp, you're the team's best player, and that's how this is going to go. Otherwise, guys who actually show up, they're going to be the ones that get the opportunity. And you have to quite literally prove yourself again to this team that you're worthy of being an etched in stone starter. Because what has Diego Luna done to not start in the September friendlies right now? I'll wait.
Well, he doesn't have that top end speed. I saw a couple times where he got beat to balls, but like, you're right. I mean, listen, he has come to play and he's scored goals. He's scored big goals. I mean, that I understand what you're saying, but there's the risk that you are introducing like a level of drama.
No, I think it's quite the opposite.
You think so? Okay.
I think it cuts but that's the way it should be. Like, everyone says, like,
I agree
obviously
with that.
sports is inherently political, but it's also like a meritocracy. And I think both of those things can be true. That's how it should be going into this whole kind of, this is an important year running up to the World Cup. This is a perfect issue to have. And I think, to your point, if this scenario happened, whether it's Christian or whoever, specifically him, I think he would respond really, really well to that. And that would be the best thing possible for the national team, is focusing on performances and people playing well when they get the minutes. And that could be a really good thing and the opposite of dramatic.
And Tommy, you know this better than any of us, but if you're to bring Christian into camp and start him immediately after the tournament that Diego Luna's having, that does bad things for the locker room. Poch automatically loses the trust of the guys because there's no way the guys aren't pissed at Christian for not showing up. So if you roll out the red carpet when he comes back to camp in September and you say, all right, Christian's starting despite what Diego Luna did and potentially literally willing us to a Gold Cup, that drives a wedge in the locker room for no reason. And Christian should fully expect this coming into camp. Fully expect it.
Yeah, I think that's just one window. It's 10 days kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I totally agree. Is like, I don't know if any of this is true, but you hear it on Twitter. Like, there maybe was some rumors on the standards not being the exact same for everyone in camp under previous management, and that being something that needed to be addressed. This is your opportunity to address that come September. So I don't think it's a bad thing, and it's not like you're one of my coaches has this one saying that I like. It's not like you're hard on the person; you're just hard on the standards.
I like that. That should be the standard for the U.S. men's national team. It should be. Show up to camp.
It's interesting. I mean, you guys have sort of laid down the law in this sort of format. Like, it'd be interesting to see, like, if Poch doesn't follow that, what that would mean.
There's no way he won't at this point in time, because he threw him under the bus and was the one that said, he tried to dictate to us what games he wanted to play. He's clearly pissed, because doing that is a small snapshot of just how bad the blood is between Christian Pulisic's camp and the U.S. men's national team right now. Small little snapshot.
Not good.
No, it is good. It is good. We hold
Could be
everybody
good.
to the same standard. It's not a could be good. It is good. What's Christian?
I'm usually the glass half full kind of guy. I love I love how you're approaching this. Don't get me wrong.
This is how you build team culture. What Pochettino was going to take over this broken animal that was the U.S. men's national team, and it wasn't going to come with some hardship and some drama and some serious kinks to work through. Come on, man. There was a reason why we had peaked the way that we did under Greg. Poch is trying to fix that in less than a year. I'm sorry, but it's going to be painful for some, and it just so happens to be the golden boy.
Well, better now, I guess, than 9 months from now.
Because if you,
but also like, how well does he play if he has a chip on his shoulder too?
Yeah, you've said this before, Tommy. Yeah.
So like, before. I'm not worried about it. That's why I think it's a good thing. If this happens,
you've got like 4 camps to figure it out after September. You've got October, you've got November, you've got March, you've got 3 weeks in June. It'll be long forgotten. Forgotten.
So at this point, like, Poch would be it'd almost be unthinkable, and Poch would be kind of a huge wuss if he did not follow through on laying down the law at this point.
100%.
And let's be clear, it's not just on one person.
Oh, it's the standards, as you said.
But it's not the standards for one person. I think it's a message for everyone.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And what better way to set a standard than to treat your best, like Poch can do this in one fell swoop by doing it to Christian, because then everybody else is going to get the message. Well, it's like, nobody's as good as Christian on here. Nobody's done more for the national team on this roster. So if Christian's being treated this way, well, then nobody's getting away with shit. It's actually the best. It's the best thing possible for Poch to be able to draw his line in the sand and say what's acceptable and what's not. But anyway, this is all with the understanding that Diego Luna doesn't lay an absolute egg in the final and potentially score 3 own goals and totally put himself in a position where everybody's begging for Christian to be the left winger again. And it's also with the concept that he wills us to a Gold Cup a Gold Cup title. So anyway.
Quickly, the other comments. Ajimang looks great for a move to England. This is Drew in the Discord chat. ... in League One. That was brutal. Derek, let's see, what did Derek say? Will be good to see Ream and Richards with Dest and Robinson at fullbacks. Yes. I think that's a pretty good back four, to be honest.
Preach.
Tough to argue with that right now. Anything else? I mean, basically, we don't even know who we're playing in the final. Oh, here, one question for you guys. If we don't win the final, has this tournament been a disappointment?
Depends on what the final looks like.
For this group, no, I don't think it's a disappointment. Before even knowing what the final looks like. This group, a lot of these guys, in order to be with the national team, they have to play in this game. And you have to see what they're made of, and that's what you want. You want to see what they're made in a competitive tournament, and they got to the final against, hopefully, Mexico. Those are the games you want to find out who your players are as people. So I think it's a success.
I'm a little more pessimistic than Tommy in that regard, because if they get blown out by Mexico 3-0, then
a Mexico team that is not exactly like, you know.
Then Tommy, you're right. Then it answers every question that we had about all of them, which is that not good enough.
So here's, I think, maybe the biggest question coming out of camp. Rickard just said this, but how does Tillman fit in with a team with Christian, McKennie, Weah, Pepe, Balogun? I mean, you could throw
none of those guys are playing the 10, so he fits in fine.
So Christian, McKennie, Weah, Pepe. Okay, so
it's either Pepe or Balogun. McKennie's playing in a deeper position, right, and Pulisic's playing out left.
Right. So is he stepping in?
I think if I'm correct on Poch, he's always played a version of a 4-2-3-1, 4-4-2 diamond, or like a 4-box-2, whatever you want to call it. Like, if I'm remembering correctly, let's say it's the latter, knowing what we have. You have 2 really dynamic wingers. This goes to my point earlier. I think there's a version of a box midfield of a 2 6s and 2 10s. And I think he fits really well into that. I think he is the ultimate question right now of, are you stuck to a formation or are you stuck to get your 11 best players on the field? And I think he's in the 11 best players.
Okay. And that's not him as a false 9. That's him as a 10.
It could be a version of it. It's like Liverpool, Tyler. Like,
Yeah,
they were better without a 9 on the field.
we need the 9, unless it's Isak.
Yeah.
I'll pay $175 gazillion for him.
Andrew Steffens, Malik cemented the 10 spot this tournament, but would love to see him as a false 9. I basically just asked what I asked. Okay. Well, I guess we'll see. I do think that, like, it's all about sort of what you've done lately. And, like, as I don't think this tournament has felt particularly like wow, but at the same time, I feel good about the way this team has played and survived in certain circumstances. If we get blown out in the final, especially against Mexico, that would definitely put a huge damper on sort of the way you think about this entire tournament and probably the whole group. So hopefully we don't do that. I guess we'll see on Sunday at NRG Stadium in Houston, which is going to be, by the way, doesn't matter who we play, is going to be 99.7% whoever the hell we're playing, Honduras or Mexico. It's going to be, I mean, St. Louis, who was 85% NRG in Houston, is going to be just about 100%. All right. Let's see. Last question from Andrew. The real question, though, how many Pacificos today? Sam, that's a very good question. I can't answer that without sounding like a real lowlife. So we're going to leave that up to the imagination.
Did your father-in-law match you Pacifico for Pacifico or no?
No.
He's already asleep.
Father-in-law knows way better than to go toe for toe with me on that one. He's much better than me at many things. He knows.
Not drinking though.
No, God no. But he doesn't judge. He watches, but he doesn't judge. So I shout out to my father-in-law for that one. Shout out to you, Tyler. Shout out to you, Tommy. I know Tommy was dying to go to bed, so he put on his glasses, put on his work boots, and came to work. Shout out, Tommy. Everybody in the chat, thank you guys. You guys are the best. If you're not in the chat, get in the chat, which means you got to subscribe to the Patreon, and then you get the all-encompassing 24/7, 365 Discord chat, which is brilliant. You're also going to get Tommy's Talking Tactics blogs. They'll be back at some point. He's a little busy at the moment. And you get the bonus episodes. So get in the Patreon. We'll be back on probably Sunday. We haven't really discussed it, but I assume we'll probably do a rapid reaction pod to the game. Let's go get this Gold Cup, boys. Cheers.